Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Yesterday's show kind of sparked a question in one of the comments. Like I said, I read these. I enjoy it. And it actually, it was, I mean, I didn't fully agree with the comment. I'll get to that in a second. But it did spark this show. And actually, I think it's it just really dovetailed well to what I was doing yesterday. So yesterday was talking about the real key building blocks to law of attraction is think, what you say, and what you do. And if you haven't seen it yet, it was yesterday's video. In fact, it'll show at the end of this too. But that's kind of your focus. It's really what that represents. It represents what you're focused on. And what you're focused on, you're usually doing it one of three ways: by thinking, saying, or doing things. So even when you're mindlessly doing stuff, you're still doing something. So if it's helping you towards your goal and you're doing it mindlessly, awesome, because you're doing it anyway. But if you're doing something that's not helpful towards your goal, you could at least then be thinking about maybe something that's helping you towards your goal. Now you're doing something that's needed to give money in your pocket per se, but you can think about manifesting a better reality. I love how I always do that. Anyway, so think, say, do. Beliefs were what the comment had to do with, and the individual said beliefs are everything. Beliefs are the most important thing. And I don't disagree with beliefs are the most important thing. I think that's maybe up for debate, but I don't think anything's everything, right? So I disagree that beliefs are everything. So the way I kind of liken it, I guess, is the way I understand the difference between think, say, do, or your focus versus how you're feeling. And I kind of liken it to essentially a fire hose, right? And the fire hose is what you're focused on. So wherever you're pointing the water, right? The water's at a pressure and it's going, right? And if you let go of the hose, it's going to go all crazy, right? Which is what happens. But you're kind of trying to guide where the water's at. Maybe think of yourself as a firefighter and you're trying to put the fire out, and the fires are your dreams, and you're spraying your focus on your dreams. Sort of bad in the sense that it puts out your dreams, but at the same time, at least you're focusing in that direction. But what I see the belief as is kind of the thickness of how much pressure can be shoved through that focus, right? That's what it means to me. Like, it's either a thicker fire hose or maybe someone turned the water up higher so it's even more crazy. But that's what the belief is to me. That's where I really feel like you can squish down that, like you got a kink in the hose and it's barely trickling out. Well, you barely even have to point it anywhere because you have a belief issue. Or it could be pushing it so hard it's really hard for you to control because your belief is so strong that maybe it sometimes overpowers what you're focused on. So that to me is kind of where the differences are, right? Now, they both have things about them, like they both will manifest good and bad things or show you where you're at in turn. Let me take a step back and try it from this direction. Beliefs, I feel like, have an easier time of blocking our focus than just what you're focused on. So let me try to qualify that statement first, and then we'll see where we can dovetail this, because I do kind of see this getting to a place where it makes more sense. So beliefs are kind of one of those things where I might very much want to be with a specific person. Maybe we have a past. Maybe it's a checkered past for that matter, right? And we've got some sort of past, and maybe I did something wrong. And I'm doing all these manifesting techniques, and I'm focusing on them like 100% of the time. What I think, what I say, what I do, I like digest and eat this person. But I believe they'll never forgive me. I believe I'm not worthy. I believe that things can't possibly happen because they're angry with me, because I've got some sort of, I may not focus on it, but it's a belief that I hold. And what it does is it crimps the hose down. Right? I believe something can't happen, even though I'm doing all these efforts. It's not happening. Why? It should happen. I'm doing everything right. I mean, I don't know. He probably won't forgive me because of what I did. But, I mean, I'm doing all this stuff right. Why can't I have him? I mean, he did say I was not worth the time or whatever, and that was really mean. I don't know why he said that. But, I mean, seriously, I focus on him all the time. And it's that belief that holds us back a lot of the times. A lot of times it's fear, kind of a form of how a belief can come into play. I'm afraid to do that because I believe that if I do, something bad will happen or something scary could happen, or I don't know what's going to happen. So I believe that's frightening, because it's really kind of, that's where fear is in most cases, unless it's like you're hearing a boogeyman in the back here. He's like, brrr. You're like, that's a good time to run when you hear crazy stuff. But when it comes down to limiting ourselves through fear, through not self-love. Like, that's why a lot of us talk about self-love. It's getting that belief component under control. So like I said, you can feel love for something. You can be in the feeling completely. You can be 100% feeling about it. But if you've got some sort of underlying belief, or you're some sort of underlying belief that's keeping you from that, then that you're at odds. Or you could have all the feeling in the world. You love this person beyond words, but you keep talking about how you're not compatible, how you're not sure, how you hope he can forgive you. I don't know if he can forgive me because I made a mistake, or I don't know if she's ever going to look at me differently, or I don't know if she's ever going to want someone like me because I'm skinny and I'm not buff like my friend Nick. Oh man, this guy's huge. Anyway, so a lot of the times we can have these two things opposed from each other is my point. You can have all your focus on something perfectly and have your feelings kind of out of whack, or even your beliefs, which is sort of I think a third show, but really your feelings could be jacked up. So I definitely am doing all the stuff right, but I feel like I'm not worthy. I feel like it's like I would do anything for him. I just want him back. Like you've got this downer Debbie kind of feel to you. Then those are at odds, right? We constantly talk about if you want to have love, then you need to be love. What the hell does that mean, right? What does that mean? Well, think of something you love, the person you love, maybe a certain activity, pizza, whatever your thing is, brownies, with a scoop of ice cream on top. Like, what is something you just love? Think of that. That's what love feels like. Feel like that more often. There you go. Or one thing I like to do, I've realized, is that we're all intertwined. And when you do something cool for another person, you're actually oddly doing something cool for you. It's just karma. It's the way the universe works. So the more good stuff you do, the more good stuff tends to come back to you. They say there's a multiplier effect. I don't know if I've ever been able to quantify that, but I definitely know. I guess from my standpoint, I'm going to get off topic. No. So, but again, it's what we're sending out is very important. So the feelings is your vibration. It's what you're projecting outwards. It's what we're attracting. It's what law of attraction really talks about. And that's why a lot of times we try to say, hey, get your focus in a particular area. Get your focus thinking about your wedding day, for example, or thinking about having kids together, being in the hospital and holding your baby and maybe looking down at your wife and seeing her lovely, probably sweat-covered face, and just the love in her eyes of the fact that you guys have made this beautiful child. Like imagine that scene, and like we've talked about, kind of maybe move to her side, maybe look to see the doctors and the nurses staring at you in the room. Like we do that imagery work because it generally creates that feel. Like when you're really imagining looking to her eyes and her looking up lovingly at you, it's hard not to connect with that like it's real, which it is. It is though. It's real somewhere in a higher dimension or something, and it's condensing down. We're creating this scenario that we're stepping towards. Many moments from now, this thing that we're creating will be part of our reality. It's how the creation process works in the world. Anyone that's ever created anything, artists, it starts with some sort of vision or image or some sort of flash or some sort of inspiration that we then begin to kind of feel our way through it. And law of attraction is no different. You're feeling your way through these steps in our life. You stay focused on where you're trying to go, but you're feeling your way to it. Like if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't just because everyone else is doing it or because you feel like you're supposed to or because 6 months ago you said, Johnny, I'm going to love you forever. And he's like, I don't care. I'm going to keep dating Rebecca and Joanne and Judy and George and Janet, whatever. He's got a thing for George. I don't know why. Don't know why. But again, it's one of those things where you can kind of put yourself into a bad situation where you're not attracting what you want, or you're afraid to change your mind because you've already committed to something. It's okay. You can. We can pay attention to those feelings. We can pay attention and be like, I don't know why I don't feel connected to him anymore. It's maybe because you've finally gotten to that self-love step within you that you now know that you deserve better. That feelings matter on so many levels. It's the language of the soul. You have to vibrate at a feeling to attract things. Feelings are definitely a key ingredient to this whole thing we call life. Well, at least this whole thing we call manifesting. I think it's this whole thing called life because frankly, to me, it's that soul interacting to interacting. I love that. I love the fact that you'll bump into someone that you know from another life, right? You're just like, oh my God, I know you. And they're like, I know, I feel so weird. Like I've met you before. And it's like, I know. I don't know you from this life, that's for sure. But there's a familiarity. And I think a lot of us we'll see that, and we may jump to Soulmate, twin flame. I'm all over the place. But again, it still gets into that feelings component of manifesting. Feelings are huge. They're going to guide you in the right direction. They're going to let you attract what it is that you're sending out. Your focus is going to help guide that attraction. It's going to help guide that attractive force. Universe, this is what I like. This is what I'm focusing on. And at the other side of it, universe, here's what I'm vibrating at. Let me throw you energy waves, or let me throw you my, right? Like, that's kind of how I see it, like a big energy ball around us, like a big sphere, and like we flex it, right? I don't know, it's kind of how I'm seeing it right now. And we push it out. And you send out this, like an explosion, like a supernova, right? And it goes out in all directions, and it hits people, and they feel it, and it's like, oh my God, that felt wonderful. I want more of that. And that is kind of what causes the attraction. It's not that they're like zombies. It's not that we're creating some apparition, some fake thing that only exists in our reality, in this time space that I am a part of. No, we're actually finding like-minded people that feel the same way, and we attract them to us. The us pushed out concept starts to play at it right there. So feelings are key, and I totally agree with the comment that was made this morning. It's not everything, but it's super important. So focus, I think, without a doubt. If you're focused off in a crazy place and then you're feeling really good, you're not going to get what you want. If you're focused exactly where you should and you're feeling kind of sucky, you're not going to get what you want either. You need to get these things in line. You need to get these things on board. You need to get these things on the pain train. I don't know why. Again, it's how we get ourselves from A to B. It's how we create. So you got to know the building blocks. So I did the show yesterday, right? The building blocks, LOA, helps you. Boom, boom, what we think, say, do. And then, your feelings. Feelings are key. Pay attention to them. Be mindful of how you're currently feeling. If you're one of these, like, you're getting mad at everybody. This has happened to me, like when I travel, especially when I finally get home and I get off the airplane and I finally get in my car and I finally pay for parking. And then everybody and their mother drives way too slow. Like, I just want to get home. I've been traveling all day, right? And it's like, poor me. And I just get into that grumpiness. And it's like, dude, chill, relax. You're going to kill yourself before you even have a chance to get home and relax. So calm down. And it usually works, right? So it's one of those things. We got to pay attention to how you're doing, how you're feeling. And from that, a lot of times, you should be able to assess what's maybe holding you back in your pursuit of your dreams. Hopefully this makes a difference for you. I love you guys. Please leave comments. Again, show topics are fantabulous, and I definitely read them. So it's very, very helpful whenever you guys do that. Thank you so much for joining me. It's Dan RadioStyle.